Welcome, I'll be reacting to Outlander, Season 6, Episode 7. This is not a market substitute. Support the original on Stars.
My baby will be a bastard in your eyes. But I hope you can see it in your hearts to treat us kindly.
This reminds me a little bit of the Salem witch trials, from what little I've read of it, where people about her age were lying, basically, to harm others in the community. And it just makes me wonder what goes through people's heads. Even at that age, I think they should know better. To accuse someone like this, Elizabeth Paris and Abigail Williams, along with some of the other younger girls, started accusing a few of the older women. Although, of course, in that case, some people think that there's a scientific reason for it, that the young women were dealing with more of a toxicology issue with a fungus, but we won't go into that. My point here is that it's just so tragic that you could be so selfish as to basically ruin another person's life like this, because it might make your own life better. Oh. You know, after everything she did, though, even she didn't deserve an end like this. Her poor
See anyone
brother.
at all?
No.
Doesn't make sense. How long would it have taken for her to die?
If you're asking me if she suffered, then...
Tell me. How long?
With the cut to her throat.
A few minutes?
It would have been quick.
We'll bury them out in the woods.
We will not.
Can't bury a whore and an illegitimate child beside God-fearing men and women.
We'll see Malva and your wee grandson laid to rest properly.
Over my dead body.
Wow.
Over mine.
Thank you, Jamie. I mean, God is all about forgiving. Even after we know all this was just made up, He would forgive her. That's His nature.
That there was a fire in her eyes. And when I held her tiny baby, I felt that same light in him.
I know this is a terrible idea, but what if her father did it? He clearly despised her and treated her terribly. I think he's capable of it. My number one theory is still that she was just so mixed up in her head. I mean, clearly, that she just ended it, which is tragic, but kind of matches her passionate personality. Ian would never, ever, ever do it. He would have loved them both and tried to raise the baby if he thought it was his own. He would never have put her in danger like that. The other chap, I forget his name, he didn't speak up, which is odd, but I don't see the motive he would have for ending her. And we don't know him well, so I don't think it was him. Brianna and Roger, it wouldn't even cross their minds to do this. We did, however, see a Lizzie flashback in the previously on, which I wonder about, but she's a pretty kind person, so I don't think it was her. The twins would try to protect Jamie, but they would know that taking her out would not ultimately help him. I think they're smart enough to know that, so they wouldn't have done it. Oof. We would start by washing the body. Oh. She's sewing the mouth shut, maybe? You gotta suture it shut through the nose. She's probably sewing the neck shut. But you do need to suture the jaw closed eventually. There's also natural burials where you put a nice rolled towel right here. Obviously, she won't be embalming the body, but I don't know how natural a burial they did in the 70s. Okay, they were doing it as early as the 1880s. Embalming supplies of the 19th century. I better not go down this rabbit trail. We'll be here for hours. They had cooling tables, folding portable tables as kind of the traveling preparation room. And some of them had refrigeration features. Oh, wow. A mortician's case. That is so cool. Early 1900s is when they started absolutely securing the mouth. Claire would know about the technique. I don't know if she'll use it or not, but... Bree, please come help. Your mother needs you.
Who would do something like this?
Yeah, that's what we're all wondering.
Lizzie to answer the door.
Except the book fans who are like,
I knew she was trouble from the first moment I laid eyes on her. You must have seen it too, mistress. You must have hated her guts.
That's enough.
Wait a minute, did she do it? She might have done it. I mean, she looked pretty annoyed. And she loves the Frasers. She's added to my list near the top. I'm just suspicious of everyone now.
Are we all to suffer on the ridge because you regret marrying a jealous English woman with a sharp tongue and even sharper knives?
Oh, wow. I have a feeling this episode or the next, we are finally going to get the end of the storyline of this house burning down. Or rather, exploding because of the ether. I think it will be the Ridge folk. They're going to just get to a breaking point and come after them. Which will actually give Claire and Jamie a great excuse to start a new life somewhere because they're both dead. But I think it will be next episode. That's my guess. It might be like third act next episode. That's my guess. Tensions are high.
You know you're not the minister.
Keep telling yourself that. Pretty sure he is, basically.
Mrs. Bug was looking for you earlier. I'm worried about you.
I was just
She
out
was
feeding
ill.
the horses.
Whoa. What was in her hair? Lizzie, are you back on my suspects list? Turn your head, let me see what weeds were in your hair.
I know that you were friends. Perhaps more.
What are you suggesting? Everyone on the ridge has questions about you and your wife.
Bold words from someone who might have done it. I don't think he did, but might have. Why hasn't Claire told Jamie she's seeing things? I feel like he could help, and she's hiding it. She needs to be able to trust him more. I mean, they're supposed to have this great love or whatever, and she's not being very open with him right now.
But they should be home by now, I think.
Oh, there's something up with Lizzie.
You're not telling me.
Surely you couldn't think that they...
I didn't ken what you're hiding. Uncle Jamie's going to be asking why they weren't with me.
Mrs. Bug or Lizzie, that's my list now. Or both. Together. I mean, the butler always does it, right? I mean, she's technically not a butler, but you know what I mean.
The strange thing was that his finger
Missing.
bones were missing on one of his hands.
His finger bones, you sure?
Jealous women who made it and killed Malva.
Where's Perry Mason when you need him, eh?
I know.
I know, right?
Where do we start?
We do need Perry Mason.
A statue identical to the one you'd given Ted Main was found 10 feet from his body, broken into hundreds of pieces. The loving present you'd given him is one of the things that trapped you.
He defends the falsely accused.
I think the question he'd be asking is who would have had the means, motive, and the opportunity.
What if this is the time that you did, and this is the time the house burns down, and...
Haha, we have a house burning down reference.
If you look at it from the outside, well, I had all three, and everyone thinks it's me.
So what if they do? Doesn't matter what they think.
Pretty sure it does, because you're surrounded by angry people now. Ugh. Ugh. Please tell Jamie you're seeing this. It's terrifying, and you shouldn't be alone. I think the brother is going to set the house on fire. He'll probably lead the mob that does it. Or he'll do it himself. I feel like he's the angriest.
What's it to do with Malva?
Lizzie.
It's Lizzie.
With the child. Beardsley.
Which of them was it?
She doesn't know which one is the father.
Lizzie!
You mean both of them?
Oh my. Menage a trois, huh?
Jemmy just told me he heard Mr. Bug telling Mrs. Bug that all murdered people turn into ghosts.
Oh, great.
It's really frightened him.
To say a prayer if he thinks he's seen a ghost.
He did.
And throw salt. All right, so we need Dean Winchester to come give Jemmy a lesson on hunting.
I cannot believe there's an afterlife.
Well, there's an afterlife, all right. But mostly it's a pain in the ass.
Then the Beardsley lads arrived with my gallbray ointment. I said that they must rub it all over.
Oh my. Yeah.
The lads said that he might spoil his shirt.
He took it off.
To take it off.
Oh my.
Then
kind of went downhill from there.
One thing led to another.
Identical everywhere. If you take my meaning.
Oh my.
Slippery with the ointment and
oh my.
Under the quilts.
You're Polly, Lizzie.
How can I preach to others when
I can see that you want to take care of them.
maybe just being able to help, even by listening and praying? Someone has to do it. I'm thinking it's me.
Yes, finally.
I'd have to see about getting ordained.
Finally.
There might be a way to do it quickly, but...
Put it away. She's back. I'm always happy for a tiny gayless moment. I'm reading the first book right now and about halfway through. And I'm like, oh, Gayless, I have missed you so much. Love her character. And as I'm reading, I hear her voice whenever she speaks. Yeah, you might want to sit in the back on this one.
Who among us is not a sinner? It doesn't matter who we are. God forgives.
Yes, preach it, Roger.
You put that down. They're dead. Because of you, Alan.
Yeah, Alan is really upset. Poor Alan. He wasn't perfect, but he really loved his sister.
One soul in two bodies.
If you care about the fate of that soul, you'll have those two bodies standing before me imminently. Since you can't choose amongst yourselves.
Rochambeau. Oh, okay. Straws. Oh, dear.
And you wee bosom. Except Keziah Beardsley. You are Keziah. You'll take him to be your husband.
We both know what it's like to have parents constantly on duty. Called away at all hours.
Mm-hmm. It's like being a doctor.
Whatever I do, it will not be at the price of my family.
I love Roger.
Would I even serve them? I'm not that good at baking. You wouldn't need me to convert?
If they have a problem with it, they can go to hell.
Nice. And that will keep them safe from that's probably about to happen. Perfect. Yes. Leave the ridge.
I knocked at the door, but it was locked.
Oh. But that means she was in the area, had the means and opportunity. Yes, Claire. Good for you. Put that away. You need to tell him.
It's eating away at me. I hear voices.
Finally.
Lionel Brown.
She's doing an outstanding acting job here.
You put things in neat
boxes.
Little boxes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's Frank and my patience and grief and you.
Now it's all crashing into.
Now it's like the floodgates
No boxes.
Just open.
And she has saved a lot of people since she came to this time. A lot. And eased so much suffering.
I let you into my mind, to my soul. Let me do the same.
Yeah.
Don't unlock me out. We have to face this together.
There we go. That's what she needed. Getting her partner back.
We want to be married before the babe comes, but it may be a while before we find a priest.
Just let me put my britches on. I'm not conducting my first
like,
wedding
put some
bare
pants
arsed.
on first.
Josiah? What do you mean? Why'd you marry them last night?
Roger is from a more modern time, so I think he's more used to polyamorous relationships than Jamie, who's just like Horses? Is this the mob? I didn't think it would happen this early.
We've come to arrest her for the murder of Malva Christie.
I kind of suspected the Lizzie storyline of going on. It's interesting that they made it canonical. I'm not sure how they're going to handle it in this time period. However, I think she had so much going on that she probably didn't take out Malva. So that kind of leaves the housekeeper, the father, and Malva herself, I think. There's also a wild theory that I have that her brother did it in just a fit of passion, and that's why he's so upset and trying to blame everybody else except himself. So there's that theory too. I really don't like the Browns. I don't know if there's going to be a faux trial, kind of like what we got with Claire and Galus early on. I can see Jamie trying to fight them off here though. I'm not sure what he could do against that many people. Obviously not a single person on the ridge, except for Ian probably, would raise a finger to help. They all think Claire did it. Next episode, that beautiful, gorgeous house is gonna... Because if someone tries to set the surgery on fire and it hits the ether... The only good thing about this is, first of all, Roger and Brianna are safely off the ridge. And secondly, this means we might get to change to another really cool location in time for the main war. Like we could go to New York. That would be really interesting if next season it was in kind of the heart of what's going on, or Philadelphia. That would be amazing. Even if they headed to Boston. So many possibilities of great cities for the American Revolution setting of the show. So as much as I have loved the North Carolina setting, we have been here for several seasons now. I think it's time for another change. In New York, you can be a new man. In New York, you can be a new man. In New York, just you wait. That's my vote. When the house is set on fire, Jamie and Claire head for the city. And just a closing thought, I'm so happy about Roger because this whole season has just been me being like, Roger should be a minister. Roger should be a minister. And here we are, finally. He's gonna do just wonderfully. And having a very scientific wife like that, I think will pair really well. Because they're both extremely intellectual. I think they would be just fantastic partners. The only sad thing is I think there's only one more episode of this season. However, if you are on Patreon, I will be doing Men in Kilts next and continuing Black Sails. And if you're on public YouTube and there's no season 7 yet, you'll be getting Black Sails next. I hope you enjoy it.